Hello, all. As a part of the series of nutrition through lifespan, we have covered nutrition in pregnancy. Next comes nutrition in infancy, after the baby is born. That is for a newborn baby till the age of 1 year old, what all the baby should eat, how it affects health, etc. So let's see what infancy is, what are the nutritional requirements, breastfeeding, weaning, and types of supplementary foods. So growth and development during infancy. Now, infant's first year is the time of most rapid growth in the entire lifespan. Healthy child, just imagine within a period of 6 months, the weight actually doubles. Now, this doesn't happen in any time of the lifespan except for the first year of life, and triples his birth weight. That is just by 1 year from the birth weight, the baby's weight should actually triple. So if a baby is born with a weight of 3 kg, that is the birth weight is 3 kg, then by the end of his first birthday or on his first birthday, ideally he should be 9 kg. So that is the ideal rate of growth. So the normal baby's length or the height is 50 to 55 centimeters, and it should increase by 23 to 25 centimeters during the first year. So that much increase is coming. So the baby should be at least around 73 to 75 centimeters during the his first birthday. So at birth, the child has, like we have seen the newborn baby, is 75% water and 12 to 15% of fat. By the end of the year, the water content will decrease to 60% and the fat will increase to 24%. Muscles will be developed, then the bones will, fuse together, because the child will have a lot of bones which have not fused together, and after as he grows, the bones will fuse together. There are a lot of changing happening in the body of an infant. So infants have rapid heart rate of about like 120 to 140 beats per minute, as compared to a normal adult, which is like 72 beats per minute. So hemoglobin level is pretty high. You can see the baby is very red in color. So they have a lot of iron stores. So they have like 70 to 20 gram per deciliter of blood. So the baby has reserves of iron for the first 4 to 6 months. So full-term infant can digest just simple protein, emulsified fats, and simple carbohydrates. So ideally, the baby is born in a way that he can digest the breast milk the best. So only by the first year, by the end of the first year, the kidneys can, they reach their full capacity, because, they will not be, the kidneys will not be so functional that they can, excrete complicated waste. So that is why, doctors suggest that the baby should not be given any salt, etc. Because, a lot of sodium cannot be excreted by the baby's kidneys. So increase in brain cells is also very rapid during the first 5 to 6 months after birth. Therefore, growth during infancy is very rapid and dietary adaptation is required. So during the first year, approximately 98 to 108 calories per kilogram of body weight is needed. So this, the babies, infants, we are calculating it per kg body weight, because, for each baby it's different. Like for preterm baby, they might be having very little weight, and some babies might be above 4 kg, some children might be ideal weight, etc. So nutritional needs depend on the child's growth rate. So the basis of the infant's diet is, of course, there are only two options: either it's breast milk or formula milk. Because if the baby, like wherever possible, it is breast milk, and if at all the mother is unable to produce breast milk, or if the mother is away, or it's not well, or having any health issues, only there you can give formula milk. So essential vitamins, minerals can be supplied in breast milk and also in formula. Then vitamin D supplement is usually given in breastfed infants who are not exposed to sunlight, but usually nowadays almost all the babies are given a vitamin D supplementation for the first year. When reaching 6 months of age, the infants are given iron fortified cereal or iron, iron supplements, etc. So in early infancy, most of the nutrient requirements are met through breast milk. Only thing that's given extra nowadays is vitamin D supplementation, because the vitamin D deficiency is really common. That is why vitamin D supplements are given for the infants. Now, RDA of infants is based on the composition of breast milk. So energy basal and total energy requirements for infants are higher than adults per unit body weight, because we have mentioned that it is for babies, it is the energy requirements are calculated per kg body weight, because based on their kg body weight, like the amount of metabolic activities that happens inside the baby is very high, because lot of rapid changes are happening, right? So we have seen that the weight doubles in 6 months, the height doubles, it increases in a very high rate, then the bones has to fuse, and a lot of changes are happening inside the body of the infant, so the metabolism is very high. An adult requires around only 40 kilocalorie per kg body weight, whereas an infant requires about 108 kilocalorie per kg body weight. So for a month-old infant, 50% of energy intake is used for basal energy. Basal energy means required for the involuntary activities like all your digestion, heart rate, all those things which are happening without our knowledge. 25% is for physical activity. Now, what does a baby do? The baby might just, move his hands, legs, etc. Then 40% of for children who are extremely active, 40% of energy is required, and 25% of energy is used for growth, because lot of growth is happening in the first year of life. So 25% of energy is required for growth, 25% energy is required for activity, and 50% is used for basal metabolism. A child who crawls or walks will not gain much weight unless additional calories are supplied for proper growth. About 70% calories can be met by milk alone, and rest of the calories have to be supplied by introducing supplementary foods after 6 months. Now, with before, like up to 6 months, breast milk is sufficient for all the needs of the baby, because it is like a tailor-made food for the baby. Now, like energy, protein requirements are also higher for infants as compared to adults. That is based on per kg body weight, okay, not the quantity wise, due to increased demands for skeletal muscle growth. As I have mentioned earlier, the skeleton, the bones have to fuse, the muscles are growing. So about, like, for a person's body weight, it is about 2 gram per kg body weight. For a, whereas compared to an adult, it's just 0.75 to 1 gram per kg body weight. Now, human milk provides all the amino acids more than required for proper growth. Histidine, which is a non-essential amino acid necessary for growth and maintenance, is present in breast milk. Human milk protein is 100% utilized. Okay, it is high biological value, so all of it is digested by the baby. So protein content of the human milk is 1.1 gram per 100 ml, or 6% of total energy. Protein requirements per kg body weight decreases gradually during the first 12 months, similar to energy requirement, because it is during that first year of life that the maximum amount of growth, then all the activities, basic metabolism, everything is at its peak in the first year. After that, it gradually decreases. So if protein and energy requirements are not met, of course, there are a lot of problems, as we have seen in during, like the infant suffers from protein energy malnutrition, kwashiorkor, marasmus, etc. So then there is another problem also, that is, if excess protein is fed, that is also harmful, because the protein needs to be deaminated, right? That is, all the urea, uric acid, all those things need to be removed from the body, but the kidney is not so well developed that the baby can excrete all that. So the infant has a limited capacity to concentrate the waste metabolite, so it should not be, the baby should not be overfed also. That is why we are the dietitians recommend that the infant should be starting with like milk, egg and all, like later on, like 8 months, 9 months, etc., because initially the baby cannot digest so much. What about calcium and phosphorus? Large amount of calcium and phosphorus are required because there is rapid growth. The bones need to be calcified. By the time the baby needs to walk, the bone should be well developed, then only he can walk. If sufficient calcium is not provided, motor development is delayed. So calcium phosphorus ratio is about 2:1 in human milk. So there is, if the phosphorus content is too high, it leads to hypocalcemic neonatal tetany. That is, like calcium level decreases, and it happens like there is something called as neonatal tetany. So that is like it is having a bad effect on the bones. Now coming to vitamins, vitamin A is very important. That is RDA is around 350 microgram, and breast milk of course contains sufficient amounts of vitamin A. And the baby also has sufficient stores of vitamin A in the liver, which lasts about 6 months. So you don't need excess of vitamin A, because excess of vitamin A can lead to anorexia, hyperirritability, desquamation of skin, etc. Now coming to vitamin D is very essential for utilization of calcium and phosphorus. Uh, but the problem is vitamin D is lacking in human milk. That is why supplementation is provided. So RDA is placed like 200 to 400 units of vitamin D is required. It's either you need to be like you need to give the good exposure to sun, but then usually the doctors always give vitamin D supplementations, because sometimes even if you are giving exposure to sunlight, the vitamin D might not be absorbed as much. Then vitamin E, 5 IU of vitamin E is recommended. So that is, vitamin E is also there in breast milk. Vitamin K, newborn babies, vitamin K is very essential for blood clotting. Because of that, 1 mg of vitamin K is immediately given after birth, so that hemorrhages or bleeding is prevented. Then there is another problem, that breastfed baby is more susceptible to vitamin K deficiency than the artificially fed infant. Then excess dosage is also harmful. Vitamin B complex. Now RDA for vitamin B complex is based on the weight of the infant, which is based on calorie consumption. So if the mother is having any deficiency like thiamine deficiency or riboflavin deficiency, naturally the breast milk will also be deficient in all that. So thiamine can be given to the mother so that she can give to the baby through the milk. Sometimes there is a problem like thiamine deficiency can cause infantile beriberi, which is like that is why the uh, thiamine injections need to be given, especially when for babies. Then if the when the baby is having any infectious diseases or all, the doctor might prescribe antibiotics. Sometimes because of that, the vitamin B12 increase, like vitamin B12 decreases, and you need there is a chance for vitamin B12 deficiency, and the requirement increases for vitamin B12. Now coming to vitamin C, the RDA is 25 mg. Human milk contains twice the amount of ascorbic acid compared to cow's milk, but they are not like a very good source of vitamin C. Sometimes there is a chance of developing scurvy, especially after 6 months. You need to give fruit juices, etc., so that vitamin C deficiency is not seen in the baby. So you can see around 0 to 6 months, you need like around 5 to 6 kg body weight. Then energy should be 108 kilocalorie per kg body weight. Protein is 2 per gram per kg body weight. Calcium is 500 mg. Vitamin A is around 350 microgram. Beta carotene is 1400 microgram per kg. Then thiamine is 55 microgram per kg body weight. Riboflavin is 65 microgram per kg body weight. Vitamin C is 25 mg. Folic acid 25. Vitamin B12 is 0.2. Now you see, after 6 months, only one thing is reducing, that is riboflavin level is riboflavin and thiamine is reducing the amount. All the others, even protein amount, uh, protein requirements also decrease, because the activity that is during the first 6 months that the baby is most active, and after 6 months the base metabolism and all reduces, and even after 12 months it decreases even more. Coming to iron, RDA for iron of an infant is 1 mg per kg body weight from the age of 3 months. At birth, infant has stores of 75 mg per kg of iron. First, during the first 3 months, the blood volume will double and the concentration of HB falls to about half of that which was present at birth. Like at birth, it was around 17 mg, right? So the infant also doubles his weight, like from his birth weight by 6 months, without depending on dietary iron. So sometimes what happens is the low birth weight babies need to have supplementation of iron. Other minerals like zinc. Zinc is necessary for normal brain development. Zinc is present highly in colostrum, that is the first milk, and it promotes normal growth also. Sodium is also like the sodium by breast milk. Sometimes, usually the amount of sodium present in human milk is adequate. Then iodine, that is usually all these minerals, vitamins and all, it depends on the mother's intake, because pregnant woman who is having goiter or iodine deficiency can give birth to infant with cretinism, like the child will be mentally retarded, he'll be dwarfed, etc. So that is it is irreversible. So the mother, it's the duty of the mother that she should be taking enough of all these nutrients so that the baby has enough stores, if the baby is not deficient in any of these. Now coming to breastfeeding, which is very important. Successful breastfeeding is very important child rearing skill that need to be practiced by all mothers. For like, it should be the infant should be put to the breast within half an hour after normal delivery and within 4 hours after a C-section, and there is nothing else should be given. Honey, water, glucose, nothing else should be given. And the sucking reflex of the baby is very active at birth, so the baby should be put to the breast immediately after he is born. So next is colostrum, that is very important. That is during the first 2 to 3 days, there's a watery yellowish fluid that comes from the mammary gland, which is called as a colostrum. It is secreted in very small quantity, but is highly rich in protein, and also it is rich in all the antibodies. It is like the first immunization which is given to the infant. It contains interferon-like substance which possesses strong antiviral activity. So it also contains vitamin B12 binding protein. Then, it contains all the antibodies against all the viral diseases like smallpox, measles, influenza, etc. And even the enzymes are there which promote cell maturation. So that is why it is very important that this colostrum in the baby is put to the breast immediately after birth. Now, we all know about the advantages of breastfeeding. It is not just for the infant, it is also some beneficial for the mother. The human breast milk is the best suited to the infant. It's like tailor-made in terms of nutrients. Everything, whatever the baby needs is there in the breast milk. So we can see there is a comparison between the human milk, cow's milk and the buffalo milk. You can see that protein of the human milk is lesser compared to cow's milk. And even the carbohydrate content is higher compared to the cow's milk. So you can see these are, human milk is the one which contains all that is needed by the infant. Now when you give cow's milk, which is when you are just giving diluted cow's milk and all, it might have a lot of digestive problem because of the fact that the baby requires these kind of components. Like the fat should be around 3% compared to the cow's milk, which is higher. Then the carotene content is different, everything is different compared to the cow's milk. So you can see that this is why we recommend that baby should be exclusively breastfed for the first 6 months, because it is tailor made for the baby. Now the benefits for the baby, and a lot of questions come from the part of breastfeeding. For most of the net exams we have seen, see that it has the perfect composition for the baby's needs. It provides antibodies. The breastfed infants have lower incidence of ear infections, diarrhea, allergies. It also promotes good jaw development because the baby sucks earlier in life, then decreased risk of obesity. It facilitates a natural bonding between the mother and the child. And also for the mother, she can lose her weight which has gained during pregnancy, because she's using up a lot of energy to produce the breast milk. And also the uterus contracts back to the original size. And of course, it's very economical compared to a formula milk, which is very expensive. We know that, a small packet can cost around 600 rupees. So this is, breast milk is completely free. So it's economical. And also, when the mother is breastfeeding the child, it is an opportunity for resting also. She can, bond with her baby, and she can be, in a totally rest mood without doing any other things. And the best part is it's always at the right temperature and it is readily available. You don't need to sterilize anything, compared to a, like bottle. For formula milk, you need to sterilize it, you need to check if the temperature is right. Everything, a lot of care must be taken when you're formula feeding. Then, of course, for the mother, risk of breast cancer or osteoporosis is decreased. It is convenient for the mother to feed the infant any place, anytime, and it is ready made. You don't need, like, if the baby is crying, immediately you can feed her. Because, for a formula milk, you need to prepare it freshly all the time. So it will take some time. The baby might be crying, and you might just rush to the kitchen. You have to sterilize your bottle, and then you have to boil it, and so many things are like involved. Then, of course, the requirement for insulin also decreases for if at all the mother is diabetic. Then psychological also effects are there. The infant derives a sense of security, belongingness in a mother-child relationship, and also the mother will have a sense of calm, satisfaction when she is, providing all the nutrients for her baby. Then physiological, of course, it is a and also it is a birth control method also, because prolactin decreases the synthesis of ovarian hormones. Usually, the mothers who are breastfeeding will have a gap, like, for they will not have their menstruation, they will not have their normal menstrual cycle within, like, mostly in the first year of the delivery. After delivery, usually they don't have it, and so there is a chance, there is so it is a kind of a natural birth control method. The uterus of mother comes back to normal size and the bleeding is arrested due to the secretion of oxytocin. So this enables the mother to shed the extra weight which was accumulated during pregnancy. Now, how do you know that the baby has enough of, like, he or she is fed well? Because anyway, the baby can't tell you. So how do you know that? So the main thing is that it has to have like 6 or more wet diapers per day. That is, 6 times he should urinate. Infant is doing having a normal growth pattern. Has 1 or 2 bowel movements per day. The breast becomes less full during nursing. That is, after nursing is over, the breast doesn't feel very heavy, it feels light. So these are the indications that the baby is getting enough milk. Now, there are certain circumstances under which artificial feeding it becomes necessary, like when the mother is suffering from any serious illness, and sometimes another pregnancy comes in during lactation period, or the child is too weak to nurse or cannot because of any, problems with the mouth, like a hair lip or a cleft palate. She is not able to suck properly. Then the breast milk has completely stopped, or it becomes insufficient. The mother is not available because maybe she's working or she's away. Then the mother is using anticoagulants or any steroids or any radioactive drugs, or sometimes even the mother can die. So all these circumstances, we are forced to give artificial or formula feeding to the baby. So coming to in bottle feeding, the baby should be cuddled and held, in a very good upright position, so that, she feels secure in that arms of the caretaker. During and after the feeding, the baby should be burped so that, the gas is released, and so that, vomiting or regurgitation is avoided. The formula made from cow's milk should, it should be modified so that it resembles the breast milk in nutritional value. So formula usually has more protein and minerals and less lactose than human milk. So sometimes these formula milk can be used for infants who are allergic also to certain things, certain components like lactose. Now, very important is formula must be prepared with the correct amount of water. Then too little water can create, too much of protein and mineral loads for the infant's kidney. So when you are making a formula, you should ensure that, you follow the correct instructions, so that you don't make a very dilute or a very concentrated formula. And it's very important that children under the age of 1 year should not be given regular cow's milk, because it can cause a lot of gastrointestinal blood loss, or disturbances during for the baby. So infants should not be put to bed with a bottle, because because of the baby should not be sleeping while feeding and sleeping, because it can cause damage or teeth decay for the front teeth, etc. Now, compared to the, there are certain advantages of bottle feeding also, like creates, as far as the mother is concerned, she doesn't need to take any additional calories or anything for as a lactating mother, because she is not feeding. Then there is no problem in establishing milk supply. The very most important advantage is you actually can see how much your baby is drinking, because you can see how much the baby has fed compared to the breastfeeding, because in breastfeeding you don't know how much the baby has fed, or if she is feeding properly, etc. Then of course another important thing is, in like especially in our country and all, feeding in public is a completely acceptable compared to breastfeeding. And for working mothers it's very convenient. It will be nutritionally adequate, provided that the correct amount is given. And also the most importantly, a lot other people can also feed the baby. It's not just the mother, because it's just an art, like it's a bottle, right? So anybody can feed the baby. Now comes after 6 months, the baby feels that the baby, it's not just the breast milk alone cannot satisfy his hunger. So something comes up. So that is what is called as weaning. Now weaning comes from the word wean, which means to accustom, to begin something. So weaning begins from the moment supplementary food is started and continues till the child is taken off the breast completely. So just introducing some other foods is called as weaning. So breast milk alone is not able to provide sufficient amount of nutrients after 6 months. So you need the increased need of calories and proteins of the babies can give you will create a lot of pressure for the mother, because the baby or the mother cannot supply enough of milk. So, and also milk is a poor source of vitamin C, vitamin D, iron, etc. So that is why we have to have supplementary feeding after 6 months. Calorie dense foods like malted foods can be given to the infants. So how do you know that the baby is ready to take foods? The baby has a lot of reflex, like food intake regulatory mechanism is there. So, and also we know that at 4 to 6 weeks, what happens is these sucking reflex, um, the baby starts, showing interest in other foods, starts to, uh, doesn't spit out foods like when given. So, and the gums and all become strong enough to take in food and all. So watching the food being opened in anticipation of eating. So when like the baby shows interest in food, then the baby starts to reach for the spoon or the bowl in which the food is given. Now sometimes what happens is, when you are feeding, the baby becomes irritated if the feeding is very slow or you stop, some things like that. Then the baby starts playing with food or the spoon. Slow intake, turning away when full, stop eating or spitting out food when full. So all those things are the skills that the baby develops when she or he is ready for taking in the solid foods. So food offered from the spoon will stimulate mouth muscle movements. So development is very good. Now at 6 months, you have to offer small portions of semi soft food on spoon once or twice every day. So it's start from a very small quantity, like initially when you are starting with solids, you start with just once a day you're giving the food, maybe 1 spoon or 2 spoons, and then you shift after slowly you shift it to like twice a day, then increase the frequency, etc. Now, what are the recommendations for introduction of solid foods? Now, the infant should not be overly tired or hungry. Before that itself, the baby should be fed. You should use a small spoon and shallow bowl, so that you don't need to take a lot of quantity. You need to take only what the baby is going to eat. The baby should open the mouth and extend the tongue, and you need to place the spoon on in front of the tongue with very gentle pressure, and don't scrape the spoon onto the infant's gum. Then the feeding should be paced in a way that the infant should be allowed to swallow. Don't just keep on feeding. So it's the first meals, maybe just 5 to 6 spoons, or maybe it should can start with just 1 spoon, 2 spoon, and then it will just last maybe 10 minutes. Can go for like mashed any cereals or any fruits, etc. The position of the baby when she's being fed is also very important, because improper position can cause choking, discomfort, ear infections, especially when the baby is tilted and all. So semi upright position, spoon feeding with the infant seated with the good back support, uh, and the adult should be there directly in front of the baby and should make eye contact, make the baby feel very comfortable when he is being fed. Then after some time, like the baby should be given water to drink from a cup, and the baby can be asked to hold the cup and drink it, like especially when he's about 1 year and old. The baby can hold the cup and drink on his own. So the early weaning may result in a plateau in weight. That is, plateau means the weight may be stable for a long time, and sometimes it can lead to constipation when there is very low fluid intake, etc. So you can have changes in the food bowls, like you can from starting from a milk bottle to a sippy cup, like this is a sippy cup over here, and then you can go for an open cup. So there's the baby should be uh, trained in advance, like as the baby grows, the baby should be given advanced foods. Like you should not continue to feed in a feeding bottle when even when the baby is 1 year old, 1.5 year old, etc. Don't continue to use the same utensils. You have to, as the baby grows, you need to have an advance in the type of utensils they use also. Now, food texture and development, when the baby is around 6 months, he is able to swallow pureed foods. And you shouldn't, introduce lumpy foods. Like you shouldn't, without mashing, you shouldn't be giving apples or anything, because it can cause choking. So the baby can only swallow very soft foods, where like, by the time he's 6 to 8 months and all. By the time he's 8 to 10 months, he can eat soft mashed foods. You can give a little bit of finger food, so that the baby can chew a little. So six, the first foods, is the best foods you can try out. The first is like banana, apple, melon, then sweet potato, carrots, pumpkin, beetroots. All those things are the best things that you can give. Then iron fortified baby cereals can be given, because iron is required after 6 months, because the baby's stores of iron is low, and also the breast milk is also deficient in iron. So the iron rich foods can be, iron fortified foods can be given. So you don't need to, you have to start with one food and then try it out for first 2 3 days, and then start another food, especially when you are starting with something, because you should see if the baby is allergic to it or not, and then you have to go for other foods. When it comes to water, enough, like breast milk is completely enough for a baby up to 6 months. You don't need to give any amount of water, like, because the kidneys are not very developed. So only if it is like dehydrated, the baby is extremely dehydrated, you need to give water. But before other than that, the baby does not require any water till the age of 6 months. After 6 months, you can give fruit juices, or any other forms of liquids and fluids. So you can give different types of foods. You can give, like at the 6 months, you can give different grains, lentils, like dal. All those things can be introduced, and like one at a time, and you can see if the baby is tolerating well, and then you can continue to give it. Coming to supplementary foods like liquid supplements, initially you should start with like fresh fruit juices. like orange juice, tomatoes, sweet lime, all those things can be given as a fruit juice. Then you can give soup from green leafy vegetables. It's very good because it's good source of iron, etc. Initially, you can give strained soup without the fiber, and after that, you can, like, as a baby grows up, you can have semi-solid foods like mashed foods and all, like seventh, eighth month and all, like starchy gruels, vegetables which is cooked like potato, green leafy vegetables, carrots, etc. Then fruits, banana can be given as such. Then otherwise you can stew it and give, like apple and all can be stewed and given. Then non-vegetarian, hard boiled yolk can be given. Initially the yolk is given because it is harder to digest the egg white, in especially when the baby is small. Till the age of 1 year old, it is not recommended to give the egg white because of the avidin protein, which is difficult to digest. Then minced cooked meat, fish and all can be given like 3 to 4 times a week. Then soft cooked pulses, like along with cereals, can be given. It is very good. So these are the different types of food. Then after that, after the baby has developed, start cutting his teeth, it's okay. You can give. You don't need to give mashed foods anymore. You can give just cooked cereals, pulses, vegetables as such. Then you can give like idli, idiyappam, chapati, all those things can be given. So, cereals, pulses, you can also give some amount of, cut nuts also, so that, the baby can, start to chew and bite foods, etc. So, these are the different foods which can be given to the baby so that all his nutrient requirements are met. So the solid food should be introduced gradually and individually. Like you have to start with one food, see if it is okay, if the baby is tolerating well, and then go for the next one. Don't mix foods starting itself. Then you can go for iron fortified cereals, then cooked vegetables. Then initially the honey should not be given because there is a chance that it is contaminated with clostridium bacteria. So honey is not a recommended food for babies. Then you don't need to sweeten foods which are like the babies don't need any like sugar, etc. You can just give the vegetables or fruits as such without any sugar, and then all those things can be given. Then you don't need to add any 100% juice itself should be given. You don't need to add any other added things to the juices. Then the infant should become familiar with the food before you should try another food. Then very small amount of food should be given at the beginning, and then you need to increase the quantity and consistency. So if, like, after several trials, if the baby has extreme dislike for certain foods, then you have to omit that food for maybe 1 or 2 weeks and then later on try it. If the dislike persists, then it's better to forget the food. Like if you are trying out some vegetable and if the baby is completely rejecting it, you can just stop it for like 2 3 weeks and then later on reintroduce it. And still if again the baby doesn't like it, then you not need to try it after that. Then you can slightly use spices and all, like around 7 to 8 months and all you can use small seasoning, etc. Then variety of foods can be given. The mother should not, but for any chance, show any dislike for the food given to the infant. You should not show any faces when you're giving it to the infant. You should feel like you should show that it's very tasty or something, so that the baby feels its interest in eating the foods. Then of course give freshly prepared food. Do not keep the food, and then if the baby is not eating it, don't give the same food after, like after many hours after preparation. You should not do that. You can add oil, butter, ghee, etc., so that it becomes a little more calorie dense, especially after the baby is 7 to 8 months old and all. Can add all these things so that the baby is calorie content increases. Then what are the different problems in weaning? There are problems like obesity, like when there is too much feeding and too concentrated food can lead to overweight of an infant. Then there is another problem of underweight, like too less quantity if the food is very little. And if the baby is having frequent illness or repeated diarrhea, so these problems can lead to underweight of the child. Then there are chances that the baby might be allergic to certain foods, so that is also a problem. Like mostly like the baby might be allergic to milk or egg or certain citrus juices, wheat, etc. So you need to check it on the if the baby is allergic to any of the foods. Then if the baby refuses to take new foods, that is also a problem. So then you have to, what you need to do is we can mix with any other things that the baby likes, so that the baby tolerates it. Then there is a big problem of choking, because especially when you are giving seeds or peanuts, etc., or small things, there are chances that the baby chokes, so all those care should be taken that the baby doesn't choke. Then there is another problem of diarrhea, especially for all the babies in the first year of life. There is chances for diarrhea, so it can lead to a lot of loss of weight and all. So this is so baby should be given enough amount of water, ors, etc., so that the baby doesn't become dehydrated. So these are different food feeding schedule, or different food choices are there for weaning and giving supplementary foods and all. Different foods can be given in different quantity depending on the baby's tolerance and acceptance of the foods. By the age of 1, most babies can eat food from all food groups, can use table foods. Like whatever we are eating, the baby can use it. Then you should not give lot of salt or sugar. Junk food should be avoided. Foods that cause choking, should not give anything on her own. Then the healthy eating habits should be maintained from a very early age, so that the baby, like if you are introducing junk foods from a very early age, naturally the baby might feel baby will develop a liking towards it and will ignore the good healthy ones. So such habits should be taken, so that the baby does not have bad food habits. So nutritional habits and all should be formed from a very early age. That is why you need to give all the healthy foods at the the right time and the right frequency and the right amount, so that the baby develops good habits. So these are the things that we need to understand about nutrition during infancy. Hope it is clear to all of you.